Thanks for tuning in to horse racing coverage, thoroughbred style on the Proline TV channel. I'm Greg DePalma, and of course, being joined each week by Jon Hardoon from the Rags and Sheets. How's it going, Mr. Hardoon?
Good, Greg. How are you?
Good. We're doing a morning show, as you could probably tell already. But we'll try to wake up here. And we are going to take a look at another Kentucky Derby points race, a 50-pointer, the Rebel Stakes at Oaklawn Park. We also have, of course, another race at Oaklawn to handicap. I'll have a bonus race, which is actually the Philly 3-year-old race that I'll do a little bit later on. Let's take a look, though, of course, of what happened last week. We're going to start, first of all, let's see. Let's start with the race that happened before. We'll go in order. This was the one that had to do with my long shot not winning, which was a real downer. But the reason we're showing this is not to give me any more bad memories, but it's to show you, of course, what happened at the end. A little controversy here, or at least I thought it was, but that's the way I'm going to think. So here you go. This is the end of the race. You've got the long shot, which is in the lead, I believe, right? That's my horse in the middle, which is the horse. I can't pronounce his name. There's the 4 on the outside. So here's the horse on the inside and the outside. Now they get together here. And, you can't really notice it here. I had no idea what was going on here. I don't know if you can. You're an expert. Can you notice that there's something maybe going on there, John?
Yeah, I don't think there was any foul. I mean, the inside horse was coming out. That was that Japanese or whatever, however you pronounce his name. I don't know. The 9 horse he was.
Yeah, stick with that.
Okay, so right here you can see he's coming out. The 4's maintaining a straight path, more of a straight path, I think. Not only that, it's a $1 million race or whatever. They're not going to take a horse down for that. And not Asmussen. Well, who won the race?
It was the 4 Hall of Fame who had run a 6
previous
race.
Who's the trainer?
Asmussen.
Yeah, they're not taking Asmussen down in fairgrounds for that. It's not happening. Forget about it.
So that was that was a little bit of a bummer.
Whenever someone's involved, obviously they're going to have somewhat of a biased opinion. So
sure, yeah. So anyway, that would have really got my day off to a great start, but that's the way it is. Okay, so then the Risen Star. This was the Derby points race last week, and let's see what happens. See what happens here. This was the one that was won by Magnitude. Now, John, you had Magnitude underneath, and this horse went 43-1. And when you look at the horse, when it's interesting after a horse wins, you always try to take like a long shot. You try to take a look at how did he win? Sometimes you just look at the numbers sheets and you go, well, I don't know how he won. But in this situation, you can see sort of like we were even talking about last week. I mean, you see the horse actually goes 22, then 15, then bounces to a 19. Then the next 2 races are 13 and 13. The first race this year was on slop.
We bet
it was a 16.
I picked this horse's first race back this year, so he had an excuse because the track came up sloppy that day.
Yeah.
So you could kind of draw a line through it. I thought he had a shot to run second. I liked East Avenue, but East Avenue was a major disappointment. Obviously, something went wrong. Looked to me, in my opinion, and I don't know anything, but it looked like he bled because he was in contention and just dropped back like he was shot. So I think, just experience of watching a lot of races that horse may have bled, but there was no official, confirmation. Something went wrong, obviously, and now they have to go back and regroup. Time's running out if they want to get in the Derby.
I actually thought, my top horse actually was Built, who was coming on here, as you can see on the outside. I thought he was going to pass him. I thought he got the long shot. He's got to get tired, right? He was in the lead the whole time. They usually do. And here comes one of the top horses that's about to pass him, and he never could pass him. And it's unfortunate to what, you just told me before the show.
Yeah, unfortunately, he got hurt either in the race or coming out of the race, whatever it is. So he's off the Derby trail. He's going to need surgery on his ankle. And that's bad news for Asmussen, who's been trying to win. He's won everything. He has the most wins and everything else that goes with it. The only thing that he's missing is the Derby. And would have had a legitimate shot with this horse.
Yeah, that's too bad. So hopefully you're able to grab magnitude either. I mean, hey, if you, I'm not sure if did Bill hold on for a second?
No.
No, he actually, wow, he didn't hold on for a second. Wow. He just chilled out and let the inside horse pass him?
He let him pass him?
No, I'm just saying he just chilled out. Oh, he nipped him at the wire. Okay. Yeah. Well, hopefully you had some sort of payout. Maybe you had the winner because, again, he is not going to race anymore. Not that you were going to get 43 to 1 odds anymore.
He's not going to race in the Derby. He'll race again by the end of the year.
Oh, he will? Okay.
Yeah, he's just having surgery.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Glad to hear that. Okay. So anyway, so that was the first 50-point race of the season. There is still another 20-point race that is actually going to be on Saturday, the John Battaglia Memorial Stakes. That's over on Turfway. That's something we don't ever do Turfway, do we?
I think we do it for the Jack Ruby. Yeah, it's
okay.
Pointer.
Is that a synthetic track?
Yeah, Churchill Downs bought Turfway Park a few years back, so they give them Derby points. Not that many of those horses that run in those races. It's a different surface. It's like running a grass horse, whatever. Anyway,
so that's going to be
20-pointer and 100-pointer coming up.
Yes, so that's the 20-point race, the last 20-point race. And again, we've got the 50-point races that we're talking about here this week. The Rebel. Also want to remind everybody, I'm not sure what time it is, but you've got the Saudi Cup. And then also you have the underneath race, which is the Saudi Derby. That's where Cyclone State is entered. That's our boy Chad's horse. And he's going the Saudi Derby route. I hope he knows what he's doing because it's a hard way to work your horse, but this is what he does. Chad goes over to Saudi Arabia every time at this time of year, and he's bringing a horse with him to contend. So best of luck to Chad in that one. And look, even if he loses, hopefully he has something left over on the trip because he really was impressive in his last win. So, best of luck. I'm not sure what the time difference is. That's usually like a 9 or 10 o'clock on Saturday morning race, John?
Probably earlier than that, but yeah. I think it starts like 5 a.m. East Coast time. I'm not sure.
If anybody has an idea of where we can watch it, we usually watch it on
YouTube. Probably watch on TVG, I would assume. No?
Yeah, I don't have TVG. So,
okay, well, and I'm sure you can go online somewhere and watch it.
Oh, they'll have it on. Will they have it on TwinSpires?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll check. Anybody knows, let me know. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and get ready to handicap races, starting with race number 10. And again, this is at Oaklawn Park. And this race is a race filled.
By the way, you should explain to everybody that this whole card was scheduled to run on Saturday. However, they moved it to Sunday because of the weather, and they wanted to make sure that it got in. So it was Saturday's card. It is now Sunday's card. Sunday's card is now Monday's card, and whatever. Anyway, this race will be run on Sunday, not Saturday.
Yeah, I'll make sure to put in a note there somewhere in the title and the description of the video so everybody knows what the deal is. And same time, by the way, John, I guess that we see here.
It's the same. The post position, everything's the same.
Everything's the same. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get started here. Race number 10, again on Sunday. This is going to be going off at 5:45. It's a 1.1/16. It's the Grade 3 Razorback Handicap. This is a $500,000 race for 4-year-olds and up. And you've got the morning line favored is the 2 Banishing. There's only 7-2. So it's a really wide open race, John, with 14 horses. So,
yeah, and it's a difficult race. You can make cases for a couple of horses in here, and there's no doubt about it. And we might as well go through it and see what's left.
Yeah, let's do it. So we'll start with the 1, Croupy. We've talked about Croupy before on this show. Dylan Davis is on board, it looks like, for the first time, or at least for the first time in a while. Coming off a 7 in his last start in that Grade 1 race, even though he finished 7th. His last 2 results not so good, but he has an 8 and 2 7s in his last 5 races. He's never raced at Oaklawn. Bring this up, of course, because this is something that is important, isn't it, John? That you want to have horses most of the time to have some experience at this track.
Yeah, it's a different surface than most surfaces. So you'd either like to have a work over the track or a race over the track. Usually that's the case. I mean, guys like Baffert or Cox obviously ship in and win. But for the most part, you have a big advantage if you have either a race or work over the track.
All right. So Krupe, yeah, he's got a grade 2 win under his resume. He's 6-1. What do you think about him?
I think he's reacting off the 7. He's now 5 years old. Yet last year he did put an 8 and 7 together at Aqueduct in Saratoga, but for the most part, he never really puts races together. I think he's reacting off of the 7.
Okay. The 2 is the morning line favorite, Banishing. Pratt's on board for the first time, so we've got some new riders on board here. Coming off an 8. Now, he ran the 8, the 4, and the 8. This is his last 3 races, 8, 4, 8, but those were at 6 and 6 and 7 furlongs. So his best numbers were actually at the shorter distances. He is 2 for 2 at Oaklawn, though, but those were the last 2 races at 6 furlongs. But the 4 does stick out.
Yeah, listen, he's fast. He's fast sprinting. The question is, how's he going to do going a distance of ground? Well, if you go and look, he's run this distance 5 times. He's got 2 wins and a third. So obviously, distance isn't a real problem. The problem is the last 3 races. They're big efforts. They're all sprinting. He's going to be a short price. Obviously, if he repeats the 8 or goes forward off of it, he has a shot. I would never key this horse, but I would use him with whoever I decide to use. Not only that, Pratt's aboard, so you're going to get a lot shorter price than the 7-2.
Yeah, and it's about less than a month too, so It's quite an ask there. But we'll see what odds are overall at the gate on the 2 Banishing. The 3 is First Mission. I like the 3, 5-1 shot. You've got Cox and Giroux. I have no idea whether or not we're going to get 5-1 because of Cox. But this horse ran a 6 in his only start at Oaklawn in March. So that sticks out. It's a grade 3 win. Since then, he went 8-8-11. So you were wondering, well, maybe something was wrong. Not that there weren't bad numbers, and he won one of those races, but he took time off. It's a good thing. So he's got some time off since he started going in the opposite direction. What do you think about the 3 First Mission, John?
He's fine. It's Cox. You always have to respect him. He is coming off of a layoff, but he runs well fresh for the most part. But this is another one that I think is going to be bet. They bet everything that Cox sends out there. And if you look at this horse throughout his career, he's basically been the favorite in most of his races, with the exception of the last race in the Whitney at Saratoga. So other than that, look, 90 cents to $1, 6-5, 6-5. He's always bet. I think he's going to be bet again. It's another one I would use, but I'm not keying off of.
Yeah, the only time he wasn't bet was the Whitney, and we know how big that race is.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and he did not fare well in that race. And again, he had some issues there, and he wound up.
It was a muddy track. He didn't like the track. Yeah, excuse it.
All right. Next up is the 4, Alexander Helios. And Alexander Helios, hold on a second. My cat needs to leave. He's knocking everything over. This is what happens when you have a kid. They don't listen. All right, let's do this again so I have some normalcy here. Okay, so Alexander Helios, what you like about the horse is that his sheet numbers are really good. When you take a look, though, at the competition, that's not very good. So what do you think about that? Gaffalio and Safi Joseph's a nice combo.
I don't care about the competition. I care about how fast they run. The problem with this horse is he's probably going to react off of the 9. He does have time. Safi Joseph is 3 for 7 at Oaklawn, so he ships there with good intentions. That's 43%. But again, I think he's going to react off the 9.
Okay, and that was his first race since May. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but he'd had a long time off, ran a 9 again, but now he has to do it in a month's time. Okay, at least you're getting 10-1, and you got Safi Joseph at Gaffalion, so that's pretty good. Skinner is another horse to keep an eye on for sure. You have DeVoe, second time, taking over for John Sheriffs. Jose Ortiz on board. Very good, consistent numbers. Everything, I mean, like the worst we see here is a 12. You've got 7s, 9s, 8s. So very consistent. 6-1 is not bad. This is a closer. Not hasn't raced at Oaklawn. Keep that in mind. Has a grade 3 win, but definitely a good horse to want to maybe put some money on.
Yeah, this is actually going to be my top selection. You know, I really liked this horse last time when he made a start at Fairgrounds in the Louisiana Derby for Sherry DeVoe. It was also first-time Lasix. You know, he's not going to be able to run on Lasix on Sunday, so that's a little bit of a concern. But I just think this horse was always highly regarded in California. They thought a lot of this horse. I think he's finally going to live up to his expectations.
All right. Well, let's hope then that he's still 6-1. I know you're not also a big fan of the way they decide the lines at Oaklawn too. So why is that? Is that just because of who does it, or is that historically?
No, everyone knows who does it. You know, certain tracks have better morning line makers than others. And listen, in California, they had John White for many years. He was the best. He cared about it. He took it seriously. David Aragona in New York is very good. So there are some very good ones out there, and then there are some that are not. I'm not saying I could do a better job. Believe me, it's not easy making a morning line. But that being said, you know, certain tracks on certain days should certainly try to do the best they can, and they don't always do that.
Is that a full-time job, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, you should care then. It's a full-time job. All right. Full screen is the 6. Now, this is an interesting long shot, I believe, here. What I like about the 6 is a long shot, besides the fact that he's a long shot, is every time he runs a good number. So let's go back to April 9. Okay, he runs the 9, bounces to a 14, comes back to an 8. Okay, then bounces to a 15, comes back to a 10, bounces to a 15, comes back to a 7, bounce to a 12. Now, maybe we're expecting another single-digit number. So that's been his history. That's good. Hasn't raced in the big races, or hasn't performed well in the big races. Only ran the grade 1 there, and just recently ran in a decent race. But anyway, you're getting 15-1. The trainer is obviously hot, and I think this is a horse that's worth throwing in there to try to make some money.
Perfect job. You did a great job reading that sheet. You're 100% right. You made the right case for the horse, and I am also including him.
Excellent. Now he just has to go out there and win, or come in second. All right, with our winner. All right, the 7 is the 20-1 shot, Dematic. This horse seems a little bit slow. Does have 2 9s since May, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, but a 9 may be good enough to get you in. The problem with this horse is he's too gappy. He runs the 9 last time out off of a layoff of a couple of months. Then he had the 13 before that off of a couple of months. So he's obviously doesn't put races together, so that's somewhat negative. He didn't run well last time out at Oaklawn. We're getting Lasix. I don't like this horse in this spot.
All right. The 8 is Baddest Good Boy. Now, this is a very intriguing horse at 9-2 because of the fact, same trainer I just spoke about before with the 6, because you've got a 10 in the first race, which is very impressive, comes back with a 9 in his second race, which is equally impressive. And what's also good is the 9 happens, actually both races happen at this track, and the 9 happens at this distance. So this horse hasn't done anything wrong yet.
No, he hasn't. I mean, off of number power, he's certainly okay. The question is, does he have enough experience? And, this is only career start number 3, and they're putting you in a graded stake race. I don't think he's going to be long enough. That's the problem. Can he win? Of course he can win. He's done nothing wrong. He has 2 races, but he's yet to run the 7 that a lot of other horses have in this race. And he's now 4 years old. These horses did it younger, earlier in their career. So they have room for improvement. Again, if the horse was a big price, I would use him. But at 9-2, I'm going to pass.
Another long shot is Henro, the 9 at 15-1. You've got a good combo of Bejarano and Hartman. And you've got a horse that has got 3 wins out of 6 at Oaklawn. You take a look at this horse. The numbers are pretty decent. You've got a lot of 9s. You have an 8 in December. The last race, though, which was going to be a little bit less than a month ago, was a 12. So what about the 9 Henro, who ran a 9 at this distance in a win and that was where was that? That was last July. What's PRM?
Prairie Meadows.
That's a minor league track.
Yeah.
All right. So what about the 9? It's a long shot, at least.
Yeah, listen, he has a chance, but again, you can't use them all.
Nope.
He was on the bubble. You know, a 9's a little slower than a 7, but the horse is consistent. He really doesn't run many bad races. So if you wanted to use him, you certainly can.
Yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on. The 10 is Cook Creek, a 12-1 shot. You've got Maker and Rad Ortiz Jr., so that's a good combo. 6-year-old who's going in the opposite direction, though. Ran a 7 after, actually, he was claimed away from O'Dwyer. And then 9, 9, 10, 13. Again, the age has to be an impact. So is that the thing that we're concerned with here? That's why probably the horse is also 12-1?
Yeah, well, he's also outposted, but he does get Irad Ortiz. You know, the 10 post at Oaklawn going the distance is not a good post to be breaking from. And you're right, he's getting worse. He ran a 7, then time off a 9, and only another 9, then time off a 10, and then time off a 13. So he's progressively getting worse. You could excuse a 13 last time out because it was a sloppy track. But I think you're right, and I think he's going in the wrong direction.
He does, like you said, as I said, he's got our Rad, though. And this is why you said at the beginning of the show, a lot of these horses can put an effort together, and it would not be surprising.
Anyone can wake up and win this. Believe me, this is not an easy race. And again, it's a full field. You have 14 horses.
Yep. And you're getting 12-1 right now with Maker and Rad Ortiz Jr., so that's always tempting.
A couple of these horses are going to slip through the cracks, and you're going to get a better price than you should. You know, and so
just keep an eye on that. Take advantage of it. All right, 11 is Tonka Warrior. Unfortunately, no single digits except a 9 on turf last July. So this is a horse I think we can. There's so many other options here.
Yeah, I mean, now you're breaking from the 11 post. I don't like this horse.
Red Route 1 is a horse we've talked about before. You're getting 15-1. Unfortunately, same thing like the 10 seems to be going the opposite way since the 8 in July. Took a little bit of time off with the 11, then wound up with a 15 at Oaklawn Park in the last start. So he's had some good wins, a grade 2, a grade 3, but he's never won at this distance. He's 0 for 8.
Yeah, I don't like him.
The 13, the 14 appear a little bit slow. The 13 at least has a 7 in October and a 9 in January. Everything else is 12 or up. And the 14 has just 1 9.
Yeah, no good. Not from out there. All right, so here is the way I'm playing the race. I'm King Skinner, the 5 horse, and Exact is with the 2 Banishing, the 3 First Mission, and the 6 Full Screen. 5 with the 2, 3, 6 first and second.
Okay.
And you?
Let's see what I'm doing here. All right, so we have a lot to choose from. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the 3. And I'm going to do the 3 over the 6 and the 8.
Okay.
And there are so many other options here to choose from. So hopefully one of the shorter prices horses don't win because there's some really good opportunities to make money in this race. Okay. Next up is Racer 11. This is the Rebel. This is the big one for the weekend. Again, Sunday.
50 points for the Derby. Oh, 50 or 100? Oh,
no, 50. Yep, we're still at 50. I'm not sure when we're getting to 100, but we'll get there.
Very soon.
Yep. And this is a 1.16 miles. This is a 3-year-old race, of course. So the morning line favorites are Sandman, the 4-1 shot, followed by 5 Madaket Road, a 9-2 shot. So, of course, it's interesting that the last time we spoke about Sandman was when we looked at the Southwest Grade 3 race. We didn't do that race, but we talked about it because Sandman tripped at the start of the race. And the first thing basically you said, John, was, well, he made a great effort, came all the way, almost won, lost by a length. Let's mark that down. So here we are. Sandman's back, 4-1 morning line favorite. And the numbers really have gone well for him lately. 8. So he starts with a 23, then goes to a 13, which is huge, particularly bounces to an 18. And then since then, 15, 13, 11.
Yeah, this horse has one thing against him. Everybody in the world saw what happened to him last time out, and everybody said he was the best horse in the race last time out, and rightfully so. He was the best horse that day. However, he's going to be overbet because everybody saw the trouble. It's not hidden trouble. The worst thing you could do is bet obvious trouble because you get an underlay, a terrible underlay. Instead of him being 4-1, he's going to be 5-2 for that reason, maybe even less. Again, everybody saw what we saw. Not only that, now he has to put races together. This is the first time he's coming back close. For that reason, at a short price, I would use him. I am not keying off of him.
All right, let's take a look at the top. And this is a horse that, okay, you look at the sheet numbers, you do see them going slowly in the wrong direction, 12, 13, 14. But there's something about this horse that you just have to like, or at least I do. I mean, this horse has done a really nice job winning his last 3 races. He's been a tiny bit of a surprise, not a major surprise, but just a tiny bit of a surprise winning. He won at Oaklawn the last race, which is 1 1/16. So that's something that's definitely important. And this is also a horse, as you said, with horses, it's nice to see horses that can do both. They can close, they can go, they could take the lead and go.
Right.
So this horse can do both, and you're getting 10-1. So I definitely like this horse. I don't know where, but if I can get 10-1, I'm definitely playing this horse.
Well, I would use him underneath for sure. The trainer, it's a great story. The trainer's been like a trainer forever, and he finally has a shot, and this is his Derby kind of horse.
Okay.
I mean, they followed him around last time out when he won the race, on TVG. They were showing. It was just a great story. So he's certainly an easy horse to root for. So,
That's nice.
Yeah, it's a good story. So I like it. So he's not that far off on the numbers.
No.
I'm being silly, I guess, but I would use it.
Okay, the 2. Now, I don't know if you're getting 12-1 on Admiral Dennis. You got Brad Cox training the horse. You got Giroux on board, and he's coming off a win at 13. So he starts with a 20, then an 11 in his second race, bounces predictably to the 17, comes right back to a 13. And who's to say that this horse doesn't just keep getting better after this? No way this horse goes off a 12-1.
Not Brad Cox and not with Florent Giroux and not at Oaklawn. The problem with this horse is that the last time out, he got Lasix for the first time.
Okay.
And, he may have bled in the 17 2 starts back. I don't know that to be a fact, but it looked like a Lasix jump up. And on Sunday, they will not be able to use Lasix in this race, because it's a points race for 3-year-olds for the Derby. So he's coming off of Lasix. So for that reason, I was using him, but I was not going to as a matter of fact, I was not using him because he is coming off of Lasix, and that looked like a Lasix pop to me.
Okay. Then we already talked about the 3 Sandman. So the top 3 are interesting. The 4 is Hypnus, a 10-1 shot. And you've got Brian Hernandez on board, coming off a 14 on a sloppy track. So wins 1 race on a sloppy track, a maiden race. And now he is trying to, get 50 points for the Derby.
Well, it's McPeak, and McPeak horses very rarely win first out. Usually they improve with racing, so a forward move would not be out of the question. Again, it's one of these tough races where you're going to have one number horses that obviously could step forward. The fact that he did it on a wet track, but he's bred up and down, and he's super bred, obviously. So who knows? This is probably a very expensive horse. If you want to use him, go ahead, but you can't use them all. That's the problem.
Yeah, you are getting 10-1, so that's good if that's what you get. The 5 is Mattokick Road, as we talked about, the second choice here. And this is, you got Baffert, Ortiz Jr., the horse's first time out of California. 14 to start, then runs an 11, then predictably bounces to the 15. So now he's back once again after that. I've rarely ever seen a horse begin his career in a grade 3 race.
Well, it was a grade 3 race. It was a 5-horse field at Del Mar. I think Baffert may have trained 3 or 4 of them, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So they ran him there. What the hell? They didn't have a race for him. They ran him there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm playing against this horse. I don't want to play this horse on Saturday. I mean, again, he could win off of the 11 that he ran 2 starts back. The 15 last time out was going long for the first time in a 5-horse field at Santa Anita, where Baffert had 3 of the 5 horses, I think, or maybe even 4 of the 5 horses that race. Anyway, I don't like this horse, not at 9-2.
The 6 is Publisher, 20-1 shot. You got Asmussen and Pratt. Pratt actually is taking over for an Asmussen. But this horse, after starting his career with a 14, hasn't won yet, hasn't even broken his maiden, and only comes in here with 3 straight 17s.
Well, for numbers, he's real slow. The only thing he has going for him is it's a major, major jockey change. It's first time Pratt. It's interesting. Pratt ends up on a 20-1 shot in a stake race. That doesn't happen often. Usually he's on the favorite. That being said, I don't like this horse, and I think he's going to take money because it's Pratt for Asmussen, and everybody sees the same jockey change that I see.
Yeah, at least the good thing is, I mean, before the bad 7th place finish, he was in the money in his first 4, and they paid a lot of money for the horse.
But the numbers didn't get any better. He never came back to that first race that he ran at Ellis Park last year when he ran the 14.
No, maybe there's something Asmussen likes and Pratt likes, and let's see if, because hey, they spent money on the horse. All right, Dreaming Blue. The 7 is a 15-1 shot coming off back-to-back 10s. Broke his maiden in his last race in a 6-furlong race.
Yeah, those were sprints, like you said. Now he's being asked to stretch out to a mile and a 16th. I don't like him. I think he's reacting off of the 10s.
Okay, so here we go with Mr. Lucas again. And he's got Innovator. And this is one of those, Lucas, I'm trying to get to the Derby. I'm going to race 500 times to get there. And look, the funny thing was, we talked about this in his last race. He had sprinted most of his races. Then he decides, okay, grade 3, let's go and try to get some points for the Derby. I think that's the 20-point race. And he's leading in a sloppy track all the way until the end, the stretch drive. And then he tails off to 3rd. But before that, he had run a 13 to 14 and an 11, which is not all that bad. And Lucas just always scares me in these races at 15-1. So I'm just putting this horse in my exactas just in case. Okay.
The problem with this horse is that he had all those races sprinting. I think 7 of them as a 2-year-old sprinting. If you want to go to the Derby, you should at least try a route race once somewhere. So they tried the route race last time out in the Lecomte when he finished 3rd. I don't like this horse.
The 9 is Smokin' Wicked, an 8-1 shot. Gaffalione is taken over for Hernandez after a 3-race win streak by Hernandez, running a 7, 9, and 6. But that was, of course, 7 and 2 6-furlong races. So now he's going to try to go further distance here. So we talked about this with one of those other horses that the numbers are good, but not at the distance that we're going to be racing on Sunday.
Well, he's never been around 2 turns. The problem I have with this horse is the 9 and the 6, his last 2 very fast races, will both run on Lasix. But the race 3 starts back when he ran the 7, he wasn't on Lasix. So I'm having a hard time figuring him out. His only route race 4 races back, which was around 1 turn at Aqueduct, was a 20. So a 20 is not going to get it done, and that was the closest thing he's come to running long. It was a mile, again, around 1 turn. Now he's stretching out to 2 turns. I don't think so. And he's coming off of Lasix, by the way.
Yeah, it's too bad, too, because the numbers were going in the right direction from the first race till the September race. And then he ran that bad race when he started to go a little bit further. And then his numbers just exploded. But again, the distance, not what's going to see on Sunday. Anyway, you're getting H1 with Gaffalione. Okay, the 10 is Bullard, a 5-1 shot. It's only ran 3 times. California horse who's coming off back-to-back 10s. So what about this one?
This is going to be my top selection. Mike McCarthy does a terrific job. And what I really like is the way that he spaced this horse's races. He gave him a 14. He ran a 14 first out, gave him time off, came back, ran the 10, gave him more time off. He ran another 10, even though he got beat last time out. But he got beat by Barnes, who at this point is the Derby favorite, I guess, in the future book. That being said, I see 14, 10, 10. I see time off. The horse is out of gun runner, so he's bred to run all day long. He's stretching out for the first time. This is my top selection.
Barnes. I haven't even heard of Barnes. And
Barnes
Barnes
is
is
a $3 million baby that that Bob Baffert trains. He's named after his assistant Barnes, who happens to be Baffert's assistant. And it's amazing. The day that Churchill Downs took him off of suspension, he ran the horse there. He shipped the horse all the way to Churchill. And he won first time out, and he's gotten better with each start.
Okay. How come we haven't seen him in any of these Derby races yet?
Well, you're going to see him in California. He only has, I think, maybe 3 lifetime starts or whatever.
Okay.
You'll see him very soon.
Yeah. Okay. 11 is Speed King. Speed King's a 6-1 shot. Hasn't really done much wrong. 14-14 last year, 13 this year. Now, this was the horse that held off Sandman at the wire. And he ran a 13 in that race. And of course, it was at Oaklawn at this distance. He's, he hasn't done anything wrong, like I said.
No, but he's slow. I mean, why wouldn't I want to bet the 10 who's 5-1 that has 2 10s as opposed to betting Speed King who's 6-1 and has 13, so on a 14. So.
Absolutely. Okay. And then you got the 12, 13, and 14 all look too slow.
Correct.
Okay. So at least they're on the outside.
Yeah.
Just don't get in anybody's way. Okay. So you've liked the 10, John.
Yeah, I'm going to use the 10 Bullet and Exactas with the 1 Cold Battle, the 3 Sandman, and the 9. The 9 Smoking Wicked. 10 over the 139.
10 over 139. And I am going to go with Cold Battle. I'm going all out on Cold Battle, the 1 over 2, 3, and 8. Like I said, I'm throwing the D. Wayne Lucas horse in there just in case. So, John, appreciate your time as always. We have links in the description if you want to check out John's packages. You also links in the description if you want to follow any of the horses we talked about, trainers. There's a site you can go to. You want to follow, Chad's horses and such. Don't forget about the Saudi Cup and the Saudi Derby. And next week, we've got the Gotham Stakes from Aqueduct and the Fountain of Youth from Gulfstream. You also have the San Felipe from Santa Anita. So there were 3 Derby points races, 50-point races next week. And we're going to have fun choosing. Most likely we'll do the Gotham and the Fountain of Youth. But there's a lot of races to choose from next week, John.
Yeah, you're going to get the next few weeks should be busy. So let's see what happens. Thank you, Greg. Stay safe and be well. Hit subscribe.
Thanks, John.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. So there you go. Jon Hardoon bidding a fair adieu. Let's now wrap up with race number 9. So we're going to go backwards here. Okay. So this is the Philly 3-year-old race, the Honeybee. And I'm going with, or the morning, just so you know, the morning line favorites in this race are the 1 and the 13. So you have the 1, a 7-5 shot, and the 13, a 4-1 shot. So you've got both sides of the race here. There's only 13 horses. Interesting, though, is that neither the 1 or the 13 have ever raced at Oaklawn. So just keep that in mind. And the 1, let's see here. Yeah, that's right. The 1, well, actually, I don't want to, I'll save that for another way of kind of looking at this when I go over the reasons why I'm going with some other horses here. But the 1 looks like the horse to beat. Let's just be simple. He's run 3 races. He's got an 11, a 13, and a 13. So he's definitely the horse to beat. He's got a grade 2 win. And when you're 7-5 morning line, you might end up 4-5 when the race starts, something like that. And I can imagine that's what we're going to see from the 1. So yes. Now the only thing is that after he starts with the 11, he goes to the 13 and he stays at the 13. So, it's not like he has a great line, but it's very impressive in this field. And you're getting Cox and Giroux. So yeah, it's going to be hard to beat this horse, but he hasn't raced at Oaklawn. So maybe there's that. I am putting the horse in my exacta, but I don't want to, again, anybody can bet the 1. And I think there are some possibilities here. I wouldn't just pick a long shot to pick them, but I think there are some possibilities here. And the 13, now his best race is also a 13. He hasn't run the 11 yet, but he's had a couple of races on turf. So his number is not as good as the 1, not even close. Plus he's all the way out in the 13th position. So why would I go with the 13 when I could take the 1? And I'm not taking both of them. So that's why I won't take the 13, but I'll put the 1 in. Now, the horse I'm going to take is the 6, Take Charge Milady. And you have a good combination here of La Peru and McPeak. They're having good meets. I think that's important. He's also been improving in each race. So last year it was 26-17. This year it's 16-14. He just keeps getting better. His last 2 races were also wins, and they were at Oaklawn Park. His last race was actually at this distance, at 1 mile and 16. So there's a lot to like about the 6, but that's why he's 92. He's a 3rd choice, just behind the 13. But I definitely like the 6 and think he has a shot, because the 14 is obviously just right behind the 13, and he's getting better. Plus, I'm going to get much better odds. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and take the 6, Take Charge Milady, over the 1. Now, the other 2 horses that I think are interesting here are the 5, Quick Kick, a 12-1 shot. Now, Quick Kick's a closing horse, so maybe that's something that could come into play here. He's not going in the direction you want to see, though. He ran a 14 in his 2nd race, and then it went 15-17. So that's not necessarily what you want to see. But those were 2, really good races. Those are 2 big grade 1 races, and he finished 2nd and 3rd. And he's 12-1. So, in my opinion, this is a good horse that has the ability to go out there on Sunday and right the ship. If this horse winds up going at 5-1, then I probably don't like him. But at 12-1, I do like him. And you know what? Also, he's earned more money than the 1 and the 13, which is what I was saying at the beginning. I said, let me say it when I get around to telling you who I might like. Well, that's something to keep in mind. The 5 has earned more money, not just because he was in big races, but he contended in big races, and I think that's important. All right, the other horse I'm going to go with is the 12, Quiet Side, an 8-1 shot. And John Ortiz, not the trainer that the Ortiz brothers are as jockeys, but Jose Ortiz is jumping on board this 8-1 shot for the first time. And he started with a couple of 15s, then a 17, then a 14. That was the Churchill Grade 2 race. Did not start the year well, running a 19. Okay, well, anyway, that's probably why Jose Ortiz has now taken over. At least he's been in these races, mile and a 16th, the last 3. They were all big races, grade 1s, grades 2s, and he's been in the money all 5 times, and now he gets an upgrade to Jose Ortiz. And this horse has also earned more than the 1 and the 13. And again, you're getting 8-1. Same thing, though, with the 6. I mean, not the 6, the 5. That I only like the horse if I'm getting 8-1. If this horse comes down to 6-1, 5-1, I'm not really that giddy about him. Not saying I'm not taking these horses. I'm going to take them all, of course, but I just don't like them as much if the odds drop. So I'm going to go 6 over 1, 5, and 12 in this one. Taking a look at the rest of the group here that might stick out. Let's see. You have nothing there. Let's see. They got long shots all over the place here. You've got the 9 is a 6-1 shot. He ran a 15 to start his career, then a 15 in a grade 2 race, and then a 17. So you see, this is sort of like what I was talking about the other horses. 15, 15, 17, not exactly going in the right direction, but he did race. He did finish 2nd in a grade 2 race. So there's a little bit to like. But this was 6-1. Okay. So yeah, I mean, no. Well, I'd rather take those other horses for sure. Let's see. Then you have another long shot maybe to consider is the 11. Anonymous. McPeak, Brian Hernandez, nice combo. Has experience over this track, won over this track, in his only start running a 15. So he went 28, 21, 15. His next race after the 15 could very well have been a bounce situation, but he wins with a 15. So that's okay. The problem is it's only 15. But again, you got to go back to the fact that the heavy favorite in this race is coming off back-to-back 13s. Okay, that's why I said in the beginning, the ones got much better lines overall than the rest of the field because he's never done anything worse than 13. But it's not like he's got single digits yet, which can put a lot of these other horses in play based on, like we just saw here with this horse. Who's to say he can't improve in his next start after the bounce potential situation and get even better and run a 12 or an 11. And maybe that gets him in the exacta. And again, he's got to win at this distance over Oaklawn. So I even think the 11 is a horse that you want to consider for sure at 15-1. And I tell you what, since he's 15-1, and there's a lot of horses in this race, I'm going to go ahead and put him in. So, all right. And then that's it. I got them all. The rest of our long shots or horses that are just too slow. So I'm going to go 6 over 1, 5, 11, and 12 in this one. And if the one does win, then I have some long shot options. I've got the 5, I've got the 11, and I have maybe the 12 as a possible long shot. If it comes out 1-6, I'm still okay, but I won't make a lot of money. Maybe I'll just make my money back. So there you go. That's Oaklawn, races 9, 10, and 11 on Sunday. And just recapping Jon's picks once again, race number 10, the Razorback. Jon is going 5 over 2, 3, and 6. So he is taking the 5 Skinner, coming off an 8. And again, that's a horse that his numbers are always solid. And then I'm going to take the 3 over 6, 8 in this race. So I'm jumping on First Mission. And again, that's the horse that I mentioned that is taking some time off after some good numbers. And again, he ran a 6 at Oaklawn. So the other horses that I think are really good possibilities, the 4, I know Jon did not put the 4 in, but he did mention, again, the sheet numbers are good on the 4, very consistent. If you look back here, even just here on the daily form, most of his races, all of his races, nothing worse than 14. Okay. And then he's got 11s, 10, 9, 9 in his last 3 races, but he doesn't race in the big races. So now he has to step up on competition, but the numbers are fine. You're getting Gaffleone, you're getting Saffie Joseph, you're 10-1. So, there's that's definitely a horse that was definitely under consideration for sure. And then you have, where are we? Just want to make sure. Okay. Then you have, well, I've got my picks. We just talked about the 4. We talked about Jon's 5. Oh, the 9. The 9 is the Henro long shot. And that is a horse that might be a little bit intriguing too, because you've got the Bejarano-Hartman connection. He's got 3 wins over Oaklawn. He ran a 9 in at this distance, even though most of his races were in sprinting. So he's not a bad long shot option as well. So there's some, as we talked about, some really interesting horses to keep an eye on in these races. And in race number 11, the Rebel, Jon went 10 over 139. And so Jon's top pick in the Rebel Stakes is going to be Bullard, a 5-1 shot coming off back-to-back 10s. And I'm going with the 1 Cole Battle in this one over 2, 3, and 8. Also a lot to like in this race too. These are tough races to handicap because so many horses have an opportunity to win. I'm going to feel very fortunate if we pick winners here because how tough it is. And after hearing what Jon said about the story with the trainer, I'm now really all in on Cole Battle. I was taking him anyway because I was watching I've been following the horse and his races recently, and I was just really impressed with how he was able to win. And I didn't expect his numbers to go backwards, though. I expected maybe I see some decent numbers. Maybe this horse would be a very nice little long shot Derby contender. But then the numbers went backwards. But again, the good thing is it's not bad, 12, 13, 14. So, you're getting 10-1. I hope we get 10-1. So that's it. We'll be back next week. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a lot of racing. And don't forget Saturday, because even though these races are on Sunday, you've got a big day on Saturday morning, or a big morning on Saturday morning, checking out the Saudi Cup and the Saudi Derby. That's where Chad's horse, Cyclone State, is entered. So we're going to be rooting for him big time. Saudi Cup, That's the world's richest race. Romantic Warrior is, I guess, the all-time richest racehorse is going to be in there. So that's going to be a big one. He's going up against Forever Young and Rattle and Roll. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. We'll also see what happens with the John Battaglia Memorial Stakes on Saturday. Again, it's only a 20-point race. But next week, you have 2 stakes races at Aqueduct, graded stakes races. That is the Tom Fool and the Derby Points race, the Gotham. Then the Gulfstream races, you have 8 graded 2 and graded 3 races, 4 each, including the grade 2 Fountain of Youth, the 50-point Derby race. Santa Anita has a grade 1 and 2 grade 2s, including the grade 2 San Felipe, another Derby Points race, also the Santa Anita Handicap. And if you watched that movie, what's the name of that movie? I always forget the name of that movie, but you know, the horse, the famous horse, Santa Anita Handicap. That was a really big deal in that movie. So you know what I'm talking about, or at least you should. So that's coming up next week. So it's more than likely we're going to do 2 races, the Fountain of Youth and the Gotham. Now we are going to do, I am going to be able to get John's opinion. I'm going to, you know, push him to bring in a 3rd race like we did before and limit those times to weeks like this. So I'm going to see if maybe I can get him to do 3 races next week, especially if they're all good betting races. So we'll see if I can get that done next week. But then in 2 weeks, things kind of calm down a little bit. It's kind of strange that you have 3 Derby races in one weekend, and then the next week you don't have any. So there's the biggest race in 2 weeks is going to be the Grade 1 Beholder at Santa Anita, the Beholder Mile. Then you got to wait again a few weeks. You've got the Whitmore at Oaklawn, a couple of stakes races at Santa Anita, nothing major. And then you have to wait until near the end of the month in March before you get another Derby Points race, which is the one on Turfway, the Jeff Ruby. So we really have a big card next week, and then you have to wait another month for everything to really get exciting with the Florida Derby, the Arkansas Derby in the same weekend, followed by the Wood Memorial, the Bluegrass Stakes, and the Santa Anita Derby the week after. There's also the Dubai World Cup that week, by the way. And then we're off and running as far as Derby Points races. And then we take some time off before the Derby. Not us, but, you know, the Derby prep races. You do have the Lexington, of course, as always, if you want to find a way to sneak into the Derby by winning that one. So that is going to wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, as John said, subscribing is real important. That helps to support the channel. And then sharing the video to your friends, that is also really cool. And let us know what's on your mind. You know, starting a dialogue in the comment section, another good thing regarding the algorithms at YouTube that help us to grow as a channel. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week right here on Proline TV.